Hello everyone, this is Professor Albert Nygren. I'm the Executive Director and the Curator of the New Jersey Film Festival, which is based at Rutgers University. We're celebrating our 41st anniversary this spring of 2023, with a wonderful lineup of films that will be screening between January 27th and February 19th, online and in person at Rutgers University at our state-of-the-art facility, which is called Voorhees Hall. We're in room 105, which is a huge lecture hall, and it's got soundproofing and a really wonderful projection system and a good sound system. And we'll be screening about 45 films between those dates. And the New Jersey Film Festival will have about 27 films, and the United States Super 8 Film and Digital Video Festival will have about 15. But today we're doing a filmmaker interview, and we'll be doing a series of these interviews with directors that are locally based. And today I have Anna Quadra. She is the director of The Language I Speak, which we're showing on opening night, which is a very prestigious spot. So tell us, how did you end up making this film, Anna?
This documentary, The Language I Speak, I started this project a few years ago when I heard this linguist, Kara Becker, on a radio interview, and she was talking about the New York accents. And I thought it was such an interesting topic. I was living in Manhattan at the moment, and I thought, oh, this is a lot of fun. Let me explore a little bit more, and maybe I can do, I don't know, a piece about it, a short piece about it. And then I realized that when it comes to language and accents, it's a really big area. Right? So I got in touch with a couple of assistants, and they said, you know, let's just brainstorm a little bit and see what do we want to do, because accents in New York could be a lot of fun. And so we went out to the streets and start to, you know, gather information, talk to people, and have their ideas about what's your idea on accents in New York. In Queens, in Brooklyn, and everybody has different accents. And then we thought, you know what, we can make it broader. Let's do the whole United States. And when we started to explore more about it, we found out that there were these sociolinguists, linguist psychologists, and a lot of people that had studies about language, accents, language acquisition, and other topics, which were really interesting. For instance, our concepts of and ideas of language related to identity. How do we acquire a language? How do we connect with other people that have our own, the same accents when we hear them? Why do we have those feelings of, I can trust this person that has the same accent as mine? Because there is so much that we share in common. We have our history, we have anecdotes, we have geography, the part of the country. And I thought it was very interesting, and so we found an event that took place in Washington, D.C. It was new ways of analyzing variation, where all the sociolinguists would get together every year. And I thought, I have to go and interview. And so I started to interview each one of them, and of course the subject gets bigger and bigger and broader and broader, and I thought, what am I going to do with all this information? But one thing led to another, and so little by little we started to kind of have a map of what we wanted to say in the documentary.
Well, when I watched your film the first time, I was expecting to see a documentary that would focus on the various accents throughout the country. And I thought, you know, how is she going to be able to hold that for the whole And I was so glad when you started to branch out, because the type of dialect that somebody has socioeconomic and political ramifications. You know, I mean, your documentary goes into various directions that focus on that, how people feel a oneness with somebody else who sounds like them, and yet at the same time how that can be a negative. Like, you know, talking about the various dialects that are available throughout the country, the one that is ranked the lowest was the New York one.
Correct.
Right. So
there is let me just give me 1 second. There is a professor, and she has something very interesting to say. Patricia Sucre Avila. She's a sociolinguist who's done a lot of work in Texas for many years, and she basically just sums it up and says, you know, the minute that you sound regional, that's when you're highlighted different.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, you know, we still live with those concepts, right? And how do we work with that? Do we just accept it as, you know, this is us Americans and that's what we do? Or is that bad? Or is that okay?
Right.
Or is that something that we're living with right now? Or is there something that we can do about it, right? Because some other sociolinguists, Dennis Preston, for instance, who has done a lot of work also, he's a sociolinguist and a professor, he says, we still get away with it. We can discriminate in terms of the way you speak and still get away with it.
Yeah.
But if I say something about the color of your skin,
Right.
you'll be fired in a second.
Right.
Even your age, discrimination. There is still, you know, not a lot of hey, you can't do that. But when it comes to accents and language, it's like it's okay, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the question, right? Like how do we go from here to becoming more accepting of, you know, that's the way a person talks English.
Right.
And this person is American,
Right.
who was born in this country. That's why I wanted to keep it as American English, not so much, because I am originally from Peru.
Right.
And I love accents, and living in New York, I love the diversity, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. But then I thought, I'm only going to focus in
It makes perfect sense because, you know, the film does deal with the political ramifications of these various accents. You know, something that I recognized seeing your documentary was how many people that we see on the news programs and in late night TV, more so like when Johnny Carson was around, they're all from the Midwest. And yet, you know, that means that it's a kind of more vanilla English, American English, and can be accepted by everyone else, doesn't have the baggage of some other regional dialects. So, I mean, your documentary is very interesting, and it weaves together perfectly. Our jury loved your film. It was one of the first ones we wanted to show. We knew that we were going to show it because, first of all, we're based at a university, and we want people to think. Our film festival is a humanist film festival. We want to celebrate the achievements of man, but we also want to look at the detrimental sides of man and question them. And I think your documentary does both of those things. So we're very happy to show it. Folks, you absolutely must see this documentary, which is going to take place on our opening night, and that's going to be on Friday, January 27th at 7 p.m. for the live screening, and it'll be on for 24 hours using Eventive. We use Eventive as our streaming provider because this way people can see your film all over the country. And there will be 2 short films that will precede your movie, which is, one of them is called Buena Fergosto by Claudia Miatello, and she's from Toronto, Canada. And then we have Vagrant by Giorgio Litt. And both of those films are set in Italy. One's an animation, and one is about a man who saves stray dogs in Sicily. And so that's a really nice program that we put together because it deals with language. And Anna will be there. Yes. And somebody else is going to be there too.
Hopefully
with you?
My editor.
All right, so it should be it should be a really wonderful program.
Yes.
If you come to the live program, which is at 7 p.m. that evening.
I'll be there.
And there'll be a Q&A afterwards, so you can ask Anna some more questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that we strive to not have a failure of communication.
But at the bottom of this, there is always this undercurrent of, well, some people speak correctly and some people speak incorrectly.
You're fast talking and you're rude and you're a gangster, whatever it is, the set of ideologies that we hold about this particular accent.